everybody, my name is Simon, and in this video I'm going to show you some quick tips regarding the Unity Inspector. These will hopefully help you organize your scripts a bit more and just tweak variables in a more desirable fashion. Okay, let's start out with the thing that I think sticks out most here, the Simulate Start button. Oh yes, well, the button especially can say whatever you want. So inside of a folder called editor, I have a script called box editor. I can open this in Visual Studio and see this. So this is something called an editor script. With this I can edit stuff in the editor, like the inspector for example, and how certain scripts look. To do that I need to use the Unity editor namespace. And I need this attribute, the custom editor attribute. So with this I connect it kind of to the box script by typing custom editor type of box script. Then I can start doing some fancy things with it. For example, here I just start doing stuff with the inspector. I call the base functionality of the inspector with base.onInspector GUI to not have to do with the basic inspector functionality from scratch. I then assign a built-in variable called target to a variable that I create called box. Then, using this if statement, I create a button. You know, this button that you saw before, down here. And if I click it, I call the function start from box, and that's just the basic start function, to which I have added another function called change size, which does exactly what you might expect, changes the size, and I update the dialog, which I will go into more depth later. Okay. And also here I can specify what text I want. So for example I could just say start. Oops. Start like that. And if we wait a little time, we can see that it will update like that. Okay. I like to simulate start text a bit more, so I will use that. Okay, cool. Then you might notice that our change size function depended on this variable size, which here in the inspector looks a bit special. Normally when you have a float, which this is, you have these kind of input boxes, but now we have a slider, and this is done using the attribute range. A lot of these are going to have something to do with attributes, because they are very useful when doing stuff with the inspector. With range you can specify a minimum value and a maximum value. So I set the minimum to 0.1 and the maximum to 2. That means that the slider goes from 0.1 to 2. But I can also put it to anywhere in the middle. I can decide however I want. Freedom, yeah. And here I was just, as you normally would, specify a default value of 1. So now if I just do something, put it on, let's say something small. So let's just go all the way to 0.1. I can click simulate start and voila! It shrinks while still in editor mode. That's pretty cool. And I can scale it back up to 1, perhaps just to 2, but let's be honest, that's a bit too big. Let's scale it back down to 1, like that. Cool. Then we have some things that I wish I knew when I made my last Game Jam game, Shade. I went with this solution. So what I did was that I used a variable type called text asset. Text asset allows you to add actual text files to your script and then do stuff with those. Oh yeah, I haven't assigned it yet, that's why it's giving me an error message. Like that, okay. And then let's assign the dialog box to like that. Cool. Okay. So the file I used to assign was a dialog file. Let's open that in Visual Studio 2. And right now it doesn't have anything in it. But if I write something like, hello, boys and gals, I can go into the box here and press simulate start. Voila! I'm not sure that's how you spell the gals. That's actually the first time that I've spelled it in life. But it's a nice spelling, so I'll just go with it. Okay. It's a bit long though, so let's just short down to HBAG. Acronyms are bad. Okay. That's a bit tedious to do when you have lots of different dialogues. It can be quite nice to manage, especially if you don't want to like open the Unity editor. You just want to go in to fix certain files. But if you want to quickly change something in the inspector, these two fields look much nicer. They are made using the variable types, or rather the attributes, text area and multiline on normal string. So text area is an attribute that creates this box. And if I start writing something like lots of H's, you see that a scroll bar appears to the right. Using this I can scroll up, scroll down, and you can just do it like this, delete stuff. It's a big text box basically, with the scroll bar. Multiline, however, is a bit different. It's, as you can see, a bit further to the right in the inspector. And if I start writing something like this one too, you can see that we do not get a scroll bar. That's like the main difference. But I can see like do this, select everything, delete everything. Pretty similar, but still some differences. Okay, then we move on to the delayed attributes. As I've said here in my comments, the delayed attribute is used to handle important variables with care. Or at least that's how I use it. Let's say that you, like me, have a variable called money that you're very, very careful of. And maybe you just want to add one more zero to your bank account, as one might want to. And let's say you have 100 here, okay? And you click on it. For some reason you just remove what you had already written. And if this had not been a delayed variable, this would immediately be updated and all your money would disappear. Just like that. Even though you were going to type in like 1,000 later, it will still be momentarily just gone. But since we are using the delayed attribute, we can type in 1,000 and 1,000, and only when we press enter or just click away from the box do we update the variable. Very useful for fragile and important variables. And yeah, just a handy little thing to know. And also, you might have noticed this little space here between the dialog box and the money. That's made using the space attributes. And as you can see, it just creates this small space. And also, adding a comma between different attributes just lets you combine them in one line. Very simple and very just clean. Then down here, we have another thing, a tooltip. It's a bit hard to explain, so let's just show you. So when I hover over the damage here, it says damage. Like that. Very simple. Then move on to an array for custom class. This custom class is defined down here, and it has the attribute system.serializable, which makes it appear here in the inspector. If we were to remove this, however, let's just comment it out like this, the array would disappear. So system.serializable makes it able to appear in the inspector. Of course, you have to have like a variable that uses the class, of course, but it can be displayed in the inspector. This is really useful when you want to have an array of things with multiple properties, you can just create a class, add the properties to the class, and then you can have an array of like how many things you want, all with a set amount of properties. Pretty cool. Then we move on to something else. This is just a variable type that I don't think a lot of people know. Well, a lot of people do know of it, but maybe some new people do not. That's the uint, which stands for unsigned int. Unsigned basically just means that it doesn't have negative values, and it's really useful for, well, just that, just prohibiting you from using any negative values. Then let's actually skip over to the box run in editor script. This is script down here, which is linked to the box script. First of all, it has the attribute execute in edit mode, which does exactly what you would expect it to do. It executes in edit mode. So what it would do is to update the color to the color that I specify here. And it will do it even though we're still just in edit mode. We're not playing the game, we're still just in edit mode, but yet we can change the color. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Of course I can just change the color with the material also, but this doesn't have to be about changing color. You can change the size, you can change like the rotation. You can do a lot of stuff while it's still in the editor, which is kind of cool. Then we have this little thing. It says help URL and then a URL. This connects the URL to this little book down here. So if we click this book, we open my browser and we can look at the documentation for the execute in edit mode attributes. Cool. So that was the URL that I inputted right here. This might be helpful if you have, well, some other things that you want to explain. You can link to any site that you want. It doesn't have to be the Unity docs. It can be YouTube, it can be, I don't know, your own website, whatever. This just makes it so that you can link stuff. Then, lastly, we have the require component attributes. This just firmly connects one script to another. So if we were to try to remove the box script, like this, we would get an error saying that I can't remove box script because box run in editor depends on it. But I can remove box run in editor and then box script. And then if I add box run in editor back, it also adds box script. Pretty cool. Let's just assign that there. And then dialog 3. And then this. There again. Let's jump back into the box script. This was the color variable that we changed earlier. The reason we could even see it in the inspector was because I had this line commented out. If we just make this work, we have a function in hide in inspector attributes, which just hides the variable in the inspector. Simple as that. This is incredibly useful if you have a variable that you access from different scripts, but that you don't exactly want to show in the inspector. Maybe it's like an ugly variable, it's not an important variable, and you just want to hide it. But you need to access it somewhere else. So you can just hide it in the inspector using this attribute. Cool. Lastly, we have the header attribute. This just creates this little header down here that I can use to maybe like label different things. So let's say I have a lot of things to do with, like in this case, health. I can add the header health and then just have all the health things below it. Then maybe another header called, I don't know, damage, something, or maybe just environment, multiplayer, I don't know. Just things that I need to organize under a specific header. I can do that with the header attribute. So I just type header and then with parentheses I input a string saying whatever I wanted to say. Okay, so that was basically everything for this video. If you like it, then please just give it a big thumbs up maybe. Maybe a thumbs down if you want. I don't know, you decide. Give me whatever you think I deserve and this video deserves. If you have something to say, please just leave a comment down below. I read them all. And yeah, have a great day everybody. Hey.